kind of like the Earth, Aloud has gone through a few mass extinction events, and this was not the first one, but it was definitely the largest one, leading up to Exile.
We had just lost our bass player and drummer of several years.
Childhood sown in these seams. Sometimes it comes and it leaves. I remember how you used to say, life is endless motorway.
Jen and I were just laying in bed and we were just looking at the ceiling thinking, what the fuck are we gonna do, And for a moment we talked about, does this mean that Aloud is done?
It was sort of a growing experience for the two of us, trying to figure out if we could keep doing the band on our own and how would we function, because it'd be completely different from the way it was before, where everything was all four of us, and now it's like it's the two of us, and are we gonna take the reins on this and this sort of thing.
We were really anxious about it, and after a few minutes of talking about it, we just realized that there was no way that we were going to stop. We were incapable of stopping. It's, being Aloud and writing music was all we knew how to do, so we just had to go for broke.
We needed a kind of kickstart again to get us back into writing and figuring things out as how they would go on from then and all that. And we went to this event at the Boston Public Library called Recording the Beatles. It was with these two guys who were working on this book that basically chronicled every session that the Beatles recorded. And it was, it was kind of a neat thing, especially as a Beatles fan and just as a music fan, and to go and see how all that stuff happened, and learn more about it. And it's exciting. And we walked out and we were like, with this next record, since it's just the two of us anyway, like we should just use the studio as the third member of the band, like just make the record only thinking about the studio alone, and don't worry about the rest of it until later.
At the time, there was no plan to record an album or a single, nothing. It was just, we're kind of licking our wounds right now. Like half our band is just gone. We thought, this is a pretty good method of therapy, and it would just encourage us to write more songs, just for the sake of writing songs, just to make it fun again, because it had become decidedly unfun.
And then that kind of opened the door for different kinds of music we could create. We listened to a bunch of different kind of things, and I think in particular, we were listening a lot to The Reminder by Feist.
The Reminder, that was a huge, huge influence on the sort of sonic quality of the album. There was just, just the use of, there was a lot of space and a lot of natural reverb.
There's a lot of like what I always refer to as like 3 a.m. music on that, right? A lot of like kind of mellower, dreamier sort of things. And we hadn't really put much of that out at all on the two records prior.
So after talking to our friend Ryan Lee Crosby, who he introduced us to Dan Daskovich, we went over to Dan's home studio in Somerville, just strictly to check the place out and see what his operation was like and what he was like, and if it was going to gel. And we did a couple of test recordings. One of those, we did a cover of "I Need You."
You don't really know how much I need you.
We re-recorded the last time that campfire version that we eventually put out. I believe that day we also recorded Exile in the Night.
Exile in the night, exile in the night.
So we finished that session. We did that all in a day. By the end of the session, we just, we all gelled really well together, the three of us, and we had a really good time. So we thought, well, we should absolutely do this again.
Don't let the plug fool you. I ain't plugged in at all.
Play a little more. Strum a couple of things.
in those moments, like, creatively, I suppose that's when you write more songs. And in January, that's kind of where we were.
Lyrically, a big source of inspiration ended up coming from the memoirs of Ronaldo Arenas.
He was a Cuban exile. He's a writer, a poet, and all that. And the book is called Before Night Falls. And Henry's parents and my parents are also Cuban exiles. And so I guess we, feeling a bit like, between reading that book and maybe always wanting to kind of make a gesture to that background and feeling like we were in a bit of exile, this is kind of how we approached the material we were going to write about on the record. Maybe not like overtly at the beginning, but it was certainly going in that direction. So I mean, that book especially directly influenced like at least 4 of the songs on the record, if not more. And so we started writing and demoing with kind of all this stuff floating around in the background.
The thing I remember about that period the most was we were creatively on fire.
Oh, how long did I at sea? No one surrounding me, but you, darling, but you, darling, but you, darling. Run away with the cash and the pearls. Run away like it's yours. You should have said it with such malice. Who would have known you'd been so careless? And so you try again, but not this time. It's the bitter, bitter end. Burning bright. But now there's a sadness inside you. It's easy to recognize. Shed some light on it, shed some light on it, lover. Shed some light on it, go ahead, blow it open. Yeah. Old soldier, old soldier.
Library and look at all the demos and songs that we wrote and half songs and everything, there might have been like 50 to 60 songs and ideas and lyric. It was just there was so much going on. We were just going for it,
We had the keyboard set up in the bedroom, so when I wake up and I had something in my head, could sit there and do that, and that intro, that bum 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 bum, might have been the thing that kind of came first. And it's the pre-chorus of the song, really, but it's sort of like one of the hooks. And Exile in the Night, definitely directly about Ronaldo. I sort of pictured him walking down El Malecón in Havana and it turning into like a New York City street. And that is very much about, being in exile and that sort of experience of like, I'm not where I'm from anymore, and I'm trying to find bits of home in all these things I see, sort of ghosts and things.
There was a line in Before Night Falls about just the feeling of being exiled somewhere and being an exile in a foreign land, and it's basically the way Ronaldo had described it was that you see the faces of people familiar to you and strangers. So what we really wanted to do with this song was just kind of have that otherworldly familiarity, but at the same time this strange distance to it.
I do remember actually for Broken Hearts writing the lyrics on the train ride home to our apartment and just kind of jumping on the guitar as soon as I got home. I think I had like the chorus bit. Broken Hearts was
I very vividly remember writing that with Jen and working on the arrangement. It was very, very simple. She did this thing, she came over to the living room where I was just hanging out and, screwing around with the mandolin. And she says like, "Oh, I want to show you this song."
I think we maybe may have worked, edited it down or something, but
I think we ran through it just the one time, and after that, we just looked at each other and we're like, all right, we got to just hit record on something just to like capture this. And it was kind of interesting because that was probably more than any song on the record, that's the one that most closely resembles the original demo version. It was just very quick, and it was very, we put down this demo and we thought like, this doesn't really need much else.
There's no need for a broken heart.
it's single note acoustic guitar, finger snaps, a kick drum. It's pretty sparse. Lots of like choral vocal things.
All we ended up adding to the arrangement afterward was maybe like a piano hitting 2 chords.
It was just so lovely the way this track ended up. So today we're going down to Dan's. We're gonna go continue recording some new tracks. This new one is called The Urgent Letter.
Probably more than any other set of songs I pulled from Before Night Falls, it would have to be the last 3. The Urgent Letter, A Line of Lights, and To Die at Sea.
Urgent Letter is directly something that happened in Before Night Falls. Ronaldo's in a tree, sort of hiding from the Cuban government.
It kind of plays with the story of Ronaldo escaping jail and hiding in the park.
And he's writing this letter to, I guess maybe it was like Amnesty International or something, but basically to kind of tell people if he gets captured, anything I say is bullshit because I'm being coerced into saying it. He's writing this letter to the international community up in a tree and all this sort of thing. So I just thought that was like a really interesting image. And Henry had this music rolling around, and we decided, well, let's kind of take that story and do our own thing to it. It's one of my favorite tracks on the record. It just, it's just like, it's really, again, it's dark and moody, and it's like more of these, like, all these songs are about loneliness, really. It's all about there's always one lone character, somebody who feels apart from the rest of society in these songs,
I'm tired as fuck. The song's not about anything. I just made it up as I went along. My toast is burnt. It's gonna be so good.
You're such a dick. Dan helped a lot with the rhythm in that song. The drums are really interesting on that track. He did a great job sort of doing something, different, cool, and strange, A lot of percussion on that one, too, This was the age of us messing around with percussion and keyboards, We just go wild.
Dan was very instrumental in fostering that sort of outrageous, like, let's just go for broke. Let's just put all these crazy instruments on there, and we'll see what happens afterward.
Fender Rhodes one week, or Leslie B. Hammond with a Leslie speaker. We used the Leslie speaker a lot, and we'd have to like stick it in this whisper room and mic it up. And every time there was a new instrument, we just say, well, let's put that on the track,
He'd be like, hey, do you want to put an organ on this? I just bought one. And we'd be like, sure, fuck it, let's put an organ on it. And then we did.
We paid for it greatly later when we had to try and mix it all down. But, again, we were just experimenting with everything. It was for the first time. So what are you doing there, Henry?
I'm doing the weirdest fucking thing that I've ever done on a record.
You scribbling?
I was like, does it make any sense? Like, are you writing a letter to anybody?
Well, definitely write words. Don't just fucking,
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, maybe? Draw one of those?
I'm gonna write a letter to Leonardo. But first...
The hell's that say? What the fuck? All right, have fun tracking your scribbling.
Yeah, it was just things like that. Like, we were just very open to just throwing stuff on there. I think the biggest example of that was maybe A Line of Lights with all the weird instrumentation and stuff.
I said indulgent before. This track is completely indulgent.
This is what it's come to. We're recording a fan.
The instrument that I'm playing is literally a piano bench creaking.
Okay, show us some piano creaking action.
I can push it too.
Nice. We're in a rock band, right?
It really should have been an instrumental without all the speaking over it. I think I felt artistic or something.
A Line of Lights was originally just going to be an instrumental, and kind of late in the game, Jen thought, like, no, it'd be really cool if we did like a spoken word bit.
I don't really like do that thing where I go back and I'm like, oh, I wish I'd changed this.
That's what you get.
But I kind of wish I hadn't put that vocal on. It's really, the sound effecty stuff was cool. I like what Dan did with it.
Check this out. Sad. Jammin'. Sad. Jammin'. I like jammin'. This record is over.
And in our heads, it was like a storyline, right? Because it was like you're up in the tree writing the letter, you get caught. Maybe you're trying to like escape wherever you're at, and you're waiting for these line of lights to like go out. You would need to leave where you are, and then you're in the ocean and to die at sea, you know.
To Die at Sea is another one of my favorite Aloud songs. That just the recording and the writing and all that. It was really rewarding on a personal level to work on that song.
And it's like it's one of the tracks I'm really, really proud of that track. Like, I love the words, and I love the string quartet on there, and it's so pretty. And yeah, it's a really romantic song, really. I mean, I know it's about death, but it's really kind of a romantic song. And the ocean has sort of like this hidden mystique for me.
So what are you guys looking for this next track?
Yeah. What's the scene?
Play us a jig there, Sonny.
What?
I don't know. I think it would be pretty cool when it really kind of kicks in. Is like there's a. I think it's after the second chorus is kind of where the solo happens.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a backwards note that just goes and then it goes into the solo.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be kind of cool if they kind of did some funny stepping around each other sort of deal like this. Sort of
that?
stuff, yeah. Dancing with each other, yeah.
I can do that.
That would be pretty cool.
Don't play, just
So
just
we-
dance.
Just dance. Yeah.
The dance of love.
Old Soldier, that was another one that had kind of been floating, or at least in some form had been floating around during the Fan the Fury writing sessions. You know, I don't know why we didn't do anything with it at the time, although I'm glad we kind of sat on it for Exile, because it just really works really well on the record. I'd been reading, just about protests in the 60s and things, and there were some like true blue like firebrands who were just, they believed in the cause, and to their dying day, whatever cause they were fighting for, that was what they did. But at the same time, there was this weariness about it, and they were kind of like always hoping, who's going to pick up the baton in the relay, who's going to pick it up, I'm tired. But they just keep carrying forward no matter what, because what the fuck else are you going to do, right?
Old Soldier, we had a lot of ideas for arrangement-wise, musically. So we actually had Matt Gerard do bass on Old Soldier.
Like, I used to always hear that as a slide up, you know what I mean? It's like from low.
And he played euphonium and trumpet.
It's a euphonium. Or a bazooka.
No!
We're tracking the trumpets now.
Trompetos.
Trumpets. The euphonium was funny.
got a funny name.
He puts a few trumpets on Counterfeit Star as well. Henry did a lot of the bass on the rest of the record.
As I consider myself at this point a closeted bass player, so the album was a great opportunity for me to just plant my flag on that, which I did for most of it. But we were trying to dub the bass part that I had come up with for this song, and Dan said, instead of using a pick, it'd be good if you use your fingers on this one. So, we went through take after take after take after take, and, that's when I kind of hit the wall with, I realized my limitations as, like, a bass player, because I'm not a bass player. And we were thinking, shit, what are we going to do about this? Because we really want it to sound good this way, but I can't play it this way, and Dan was like, don't you have a bass player?
Gotta know when to fold 'em. Know when to hold 'em.
Charles Murphy, who's our bassist now and has been was playing bass with us at the time, even before Exile, played bass on Counterfeit Star.
Let's get started.
Yeah, he really just nailed that bass part, and like the stuff he added was just fucking great. It was fun to finally get to work with Charles outside of like the live setting and like into the studio. Burning Bright, I guess it was just this sort of description of people who are very nostalgic for periods of their life, and it's very hazy, and they're always chasing after this feeling that they felt in the past, but they're never gonna catch it.
Can I just get the volume in general up? The headphone volume? Burning Bright and A Light That Shines were two of those songs we wrote at the latter end, and that we kind of rearranged to fit the vibe of Exile. They were actually a bit more dancey.
Burning bright, burning bright. You're the interpreter, motivation unknown. Still there's a music in my mind, in my mind.
But within the context of Exile, which was, was a different vibe. We were trying to figure out what the hell we were going to do about this song that we really liked. The break happened when we figured out the drum beat, the boom, 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 bah, boom, 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 bah.
You're the interpreter, motivation unknown. Still there's a music in my mind, a light that shines.
What the fuck is wrong with that kid?
Yeah, so we were back in the studio again, as we've been doing. We were finishing up work on a song called Darkest Days, whose original title was Lick My Love Pump.
Darkest Days was actually written a couple years maybe before. I actually had it floating around. I wrote it one Christmas and showed it to Henry. We never really sat down to finish it. I was just like, you know what, I don't know. I don't really like it, or it's not quite there yet. I don't know, something like that.
Darkest Days was one of those songs that for years I dogged Jen about. It had been around for at least in some form for 2 years before we actually ended up actively working on it. There might be a demo Jen put down. It was all like harpsichord and everything. It was really, I thought the chorus of it was fucking great.
Love, 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 brother, we all need love to get us through the darkest days to come.
Henry at some point was like, I'll just sit with it and rework it and figure something out, and he did, and it kind of took on this whole other life,
I'm in charge now.
It had the vibe of what it was going to sort of be about when it was first written, but getting Henry to come in and put a different like viewpoint on it was like really important. And I think at the time, it was around the time of like Prop 8 in California.
That was a big fucking bummer. And especially when I started kind of getting through the grapevine that like there were some friends of mine that I didn't know were gay. You know, they would say things like, you know, I can't believe, you know, it's 2000 whatever, and I'm being treated like a second-class citizen, and that just kind of hit me right in the fucking gut, you know? Because Jen and I were, at the time, we were already kind of planning our wedding for the next year, and, you know, just thinking, this is bullshit, you know, that I can do this, and, you know, my friends who are gay can't.
It made the song have so much more weight and meaning, and really put a focus on what that was going to be about, and you know, kind of tied back to Ronaldo too, because with Before Night Falls, because Ronaldo was also persecuted for being gay in Cuba. I know years later now with the Supreme Court ruling, it you know, resonates even more, you know, and I'm really proud that we ended up finishing that song and recording it, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out, and it's just really like, I don't know, it's just really kind of uplifting. You know, we don't have a ton of those kind of numbers.
I really love this song a lot, and you know, it's one of those that just, you know, we keep coming back to it, and you know, just every time we perform it live, you know, it feels just as good every time. So yeah.
Are these days the darkest days to come?
It's very cool. I'm really happy about the way that turned out.
From the outset, what Jen and I always wanted for Aloud was to change and evolve with each record, whether, you know, it's a small evolution or a big leap or whatever, but we never wanted to stay stuck.
Exile was sort of an amazing learning experience. Like, we really cut our teeth on that record. Like, that record really changed a lot for us as a band. We grew songwriters. That was kind of one of the biggest turning points for becoming really serious about what we do, you know. It was an amazing time.
It's so haunting, ain't it, darling? Paradiso lays wait, Paradiso lays wait. Dive with me to the bottom of the sea. Dive with me to the bottom of the sea. Dive with me to the bottom of the sea. We'd gaze into the atmosphere until the stars would disappear. Roman candles burning out and undulating. The salt soothes a loud wound's pain. The voices drown, swim on the waves. But you, darling, but you, darling, but you, darling. Paradiso lays wait, Paradiso lays wait. Dive with me to the bottom of the sea. Dive with me to the bottom of the sea. Dive with me to the bottom of the sea. Paradiso